All right, hello, friends, and welcome back to the Gaming Dad Fujo podcast. This is episode number 16, being recorded on February 7th, 2024. I am Fujosevic, former professional Hearthstone player, currently working as an analytical chemist in the pharmaceutical industry. And this is the place where we get to talk about all the things that we used to talk about on our streams and our daily YouTube videos. And on this episode, we will be talking about, at the very least, World of Warcraft Season of Discovery Phase 2. It's what we're playing right now, a bunch of Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and of course, The Rock. Let's get started. He's got no time to play video games. He's the gaming dad, Fujo. Nailed it. All right, let's jump right into a little bit of housekeeping as we always like to do. If you're watching on the YouTubes, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell beside subscribe if you want to get notifications. If you're listening on the old podcast, thank you very much. I appreciate you. Review, rate, and review. Really appreciate that. Let's jump right into it. We're talking about Season of Discovery. That's kind of the main gaming dad game that we're doing. It's kind of built, this is the best Warcraft ever for gaming dad hours. Only have a few hours every other night, and it's fantastic. You can do your raids. That's fantastic. Unlike a lot of, real classic WoW, there was a massive time commitment, and there's different phases, so you don't have to like ton of leveling and fall way behind like I normally have done, and then kind of, everyone's already done all the raids and I haven't even leveled up. So it's kind of interesting. What else are we doing? We're doing really quick. We'll jump into details because Phase 2 is about to launch. Let's just talk about it. Phase 2 is about to launch. By the time you're hearing this, it already has. So this is being recorded on the 7th. Phase 2 goes live on the 8th. My current main was a shaman, Fujo Shaman, on the Wild Growth North American server. Feel free to shout me out. Say hi if you're playing there. I found an amazing guild who let me tag along as a tank. They just absolutely blast through BFD, the current raid. Probably going to level up a tank for level 40. I think the PvPing, Shaman level 40 PvPing is always really good. The 39 brackets traditionally where Shaman does really well. I think we're going Warlock, and the guild's cool with it. They're just like, yeah, that's fine. You're nice enough. They really take this whole parsing thing. This parsing thing is new to me, obviously. The percentage of how optimized your DPS is and all this stuff. And they take it really seriously, but they're cool with someone like me trying to learn and improve, and I'm just like, okay, so now for Phase 2, I'm thinking, let's go Warlock. We're gonna Warlock tank, which is super cool. At Season of Discovery, that sort of thing is even available, but we're gonna try and kind of step it up because this group takes themselves seriously. I'm gonna step it up a little bit. For the limited time I have, we're gonna optimize the time, which is not something we've really done. What's happening in Phase 2? Nomergon is going to be the raid, which is actually kind of really cool. And they've said that not everything's going to be immune to bleed the way that the original 5-man was. That's kind of cool. Warsong Gulch marks. Now we're giving 0 experience. We kind of talked about this issue moving last couple episodes, how people were going to stockpile them and instant level to 40. And they've just, no Warsong Gulch marks giving any experience over level 25. So that's fine. It doesn't affect me one way or another. It is what it is. That's fine. They have confirmed there was a press, little publicity stream, you're going to say, a press conference. They don't really do press conferences. You usually do live streams now, right? How old am I? Geez, they're live streams. I should know that. I used to do them. They said that the Season of Discovery characters are not going to era servers. There might be some perpetual, forever SOD servers, but they haven't decided. They've said that there's going to be a lot of new itemization for gear, which we already know, and PvP gear, which is going to help all the new specs. They specifically called out tank warlocks, which is cool because that's what I'm hoping to do. They've confirmed that GDKPs, gold DKPs, are banned. This is actually an interesting one. So I think in a perfect world, which we do not live in, the gold DKP is actually a fantastic system where you show up to a raid and you bid on each item. And then all the gold goes into a pot and it gets split evenly amongst the whole group. So if someone really wants a sword and they bid hundreds of gold, everyone gets a cut of that. So that, yeah, sure, that person got the really cool sword, but you who helped them get the sword get something out of it. The problem is, of course, that everyone knows a lot of people doing these gold DKPs are buying gold so that they can buy items, and it's really not, like I said, this is not a perfect world we live in, unfortunately. We want to think it is, but it helps enable and promote this gold farming, gold buying culture that kind of really ruins a lot of these WoW servers. So they're just said they're going to be banned. They've also said even if you try and do funny things, people are like, oh, we'll just trade peace blooms, because peace blooms always going to basically cost vendor price. So you can just say, well, this is going to cost 400 peace bloom or whatever. But they said that's going to be bannable. They realize that's the same as a GDKP, so that's fine. No dual specs in phase 2. I'm excited. I'm really excited. I wonder how long it'll take me to level up. I know this really cool guild that I've somehow has taken me in. It looks like they're going to be max level on their mains probably by the weekend. If the servers, well, it goes live on the Thursday, they'll probably be raiding Saturday, Sunday. To be honest, they're pretty intense. But again, like I said, they're cool about it. They're just like, yeah, come along. We'll all figure this out together. They're really cool about it. I really like it. I'm excited. We're going to talk about it a bunch. Talk about the experience. We're going to get some PvPing. Like I said, I like Warlock PvP, especially with the tanking that you can do. Really big, cool demon Warlock. It's really interesting. We'll talk more about it. I'm excited. Anyone playing, enjoy. I will see you online and in the battlegrounds. Next topic is going to be Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. This game is a mess and just got released since the last time we spoke. This is really too bad. What happened here? So this was supposed to be a spin-off of the Batman Arkham series, which is critically acclaimed. People love it. It's fantastic. The best Batman game, one of always game of the year nominations and wins and all this stuff. It's a whole new way to look at Batman and these types of third-person action stealth type of games. People love it, right? Super huge, super fantastic. However, this game was released, first promoted, I should say, in 2020. And they were saying, well, this is going to be part of the series. And everyone said, it kind of looks a little different. It kind of feels a little different. And some of the characters, most notably Deadshot, look a little different. So is it really part of this if everything is different? So it just went live. And unfortunately, right before they went live, the company, Rocksteady, announced that it's going to require live service internet connection, even for solo play. And that does not sit well with people in general. The game is going to be delayed, and this early access thing, there were all sorts of bugs in the early access. That is the reason I'm talking about it, is because there's so much backlash due to all the bugs in the alpha and the early. I always call it alpha for early access. It's not an alpha. It's still a game, but there's a lot of they're just game breaking bugs, which happens. Which, unfortunately, back in my day, I bought a cartridge and I plugged it into, I had to blow in it, right, in order for it to work. You put it in your system and that was your game. And now a lot of games just get, oh, well, there's some bugs and we'll fix it next week. And there's a day 1 patch. And then there's going to be a 1 month patch. And 3 months later, we're going to fix this. And it's more and more frustrating when these games that get massively hyped. Like if the announcement trailer was 2020, that means it had already been in development for a year or two. So we're talking 5 to 6 years of development for a game that still has massive bugs when it finally gets released. It's not a good look. I'll spoil one thing in it. So if you're going to play it and don't want spoilers, pause, mute me for 12 seconds. You kill Batman because it's called Kill the Justice League. What a surprise. You kill Batman. And after that happens, you can still see Batman tracking your squad. As the Suicide Squad, as you're going around doing stuff, you can still see him on the horizon. You can see the little bat silhouette. So the outline, it's just there's a lot of silly bugs. As much as people are having issues with progressing the story and portrayal of characters, it's not a good look when these massive games keep having these issues. And it's something we've talked about again and again. So many of these big games get released, hyped, and then it just how does this happen when? And I know, don't get me wrong, back in these 8-bit, 16-bit cartridges that I'm always talking about, there weren't these issues because there couldn't be, because there's no takebacks. And now it's just oh, we'll day 1 patch it, we'll patch it later. And then now this game's going to be, we'll do the whole thing. It's March 5th on the Epic Game Store, because how is everything not going on the Epic Game Store anymore? They're going to own everything by the end of it. Let's talk about more games going to other places. Microsoft has plans to launch Starfield on the PS5. That's pretty big news. That's kind of an interesting follow-up. We talked about last episode how Nintendo is kind of shopping some of their unused IP for other developers, potentially other platforms, that sort of thing. This is definitely a new trend in gaming. Now, Starfield has an interesting issue. Again, another game that was super hyped up, and when it came out, people were like, and maybe this was an issue of too much hype. People were like, it's okay. It's just not what, what you were expecting necessarily. But it's really interesting to see these, if you make an exclusive, it used to be like, well, that's going to drive console sales because everyone needs to come and get some Starfield, right? Nintendo says, you want Mario, you come buy whatever the current Nintendo console is. You want Halo, go get an Xbox. And now it's kind of interesting where they were talking about the Starfield one. I think I saw a story about the Indiana Jones game, bringing that to also to PS5, and you're saying, well, okay, fine, we can do these ports. Because let's be honest, it's money. We always are like, well, why do decisions get made? Unfortunately, in this world, it's money. We talked about the gold DKPs and WoW 6 minutes ago. It's money drives a lot of these things, right? Unfortunately, so it's interesting to see in the gaming world that this is the kind of the current trend of like, yeah, well, and honestly, I definitely feel like in the future there's going to be a lot of this, but it'll be like, oh, Starfield 2 is going to be on the Xbox. I don't know what it's going to be called. The Xbox, it is a cube now. It's already a weird rectangle. Whatever the current Xbox is for 3 months and then PS5. But it'll be announced that way instead of now how we're hearing about this, months later after its release. That'll kind of be like in that initial trailer, it'll be like, coming to exclusive to Xbox for 3 months. And I think that's the trend that gaming's going to go for a lot of things. Like I said, Mario's probably sticking with Nintendo forever, but I think more and more will do this because how can you give up that extra potential money? Let's shift gears right now. Hockey talk. NHL players are going to the 2026 Olympics. That's fantastic. Well, as long as you're from one of 4 countries, it's going to be a 4-nation playoff. This is Gary Bettman's he's the commissioner of the NHL, only attempt to distract from the sexual assault charges that are being laid on 5 players. Yeah, you know what? This is going to distract. People are talking about the Olympics, and I don't hear a lot of talk about this on talk radio and anywhere else in the mainstream sports radio, sports media. But that's fine. So this is a silly. I don't know. I obviously I love hockey in the Olympics, and I know it's maybe you don't need a tiny country in terms of like hockey powerhouse getting blown out 13-1 against Canada or the US or Finland, Sweden, someone, but it's kind of a really cool opportunity for those smaller nations to grow hockey. Like there's a lot of Draisaitl's not going to get to play for, I think, Team Germany, right? He's not going to get to do that now, and it's like, well, then you take that opportunity away from other players, and then you can say, oh sure, well, they're not going to make it out of the round robin, but then you have the chance to grow that, because then when 2 weaker teams play against each other, it's going to be a more competitive game, and then you get to grow the game internationally, which is still a good thing. It's a silly choice. It's at least NHL players are back, and as Canadian, it's like, okay, good, we're getting at least the bronze, and you hope it's obviously we're hoping for the gold because we have some great Canada hockey Olympic gold medal moments, but it's just an interesting thing. At least there's 4 teams, 4 countries back in the NHL Olympics, in the Olympics coming from the NHL in 2026. That's interesting. We'll follow along. That's exciting. Fantastic topic. Warhammer 40,000 universe. Henry Cavill, everyone's boyfriend, had an interview recently where he's praising all the work that they're doing on setting up the Warhammer 40,000 universe. I'm not a big Warhammer guy. I love the idea and the concept. I've read a couple books of Warhammer, not 40,000, and it seems really cool, but it's just not a lore and a story that I've all gotten into. Now, Henry's always really positive about all of his projects, but we know he's kind of in charge of this, and we know he's super passionate. If you've seen his interviews of him talking about his Warhammering, he is very passionate and knows the material, much like he knew his Superman material and wanted to tell really interesting Superman stories, much like he loved The Witcher and wanted to tell, Witcher stories from the book and from the game because he loves those things. And let's be honest, he was built for those roles physically and talent-wise. Like he could do some really interesting stories. And here's the one thing I'll say. He's only, quote unquote, only 40. So I think he can go back to DC in 10 years. So he's going to do Warhammer for 10 years. That's fine. He'll be, directing and starring and helping write and stuff. And Games Workshop is helping along with the project to make sure it's all like accurate to the lore. So it seems like the hardcore fans will be happy, which is really, really cool. But let's say he's only 40. He can reconcile with DC and do some of the old man Superman stories. The old man. Yeah, I said that right. Come on. It sounded weird when I heard myself talk there, but yeah, there's a lot of cool older Superman stories that I think Henry Cavill could tell at that time, and in another 10 years or so, he'll still have the physique of a bear, so that'll be no problem, and he'll still have the chiseled chin. So he's got it. It'll be no problem for him. I think that'll be really cool. I'm really excited for the Warhammer 40,000 stuff. We're gonna follow along with that for sure. Maybe it'll make me read some Warhammer books. That'll be interesting, but I have a lot of books I have to read first. We will talk about that later and or never. Next topic. Oh, Killer Mike arrested at the Grammys. I still don't have confirmed reports. There's two different stories that I'm hearing. First, that there was an altercation at the show, or that it was for an unrelated misdemeanor. If it was for something at the award show, I'm pretty sure we all saw the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air slap a man. A really funny Chris Rock man and get away with it and then win an award. So that'd be strange, but that's, I don't know. Shout out to Run the Jewels and Killer Mike. Killer Mike won 3 Grammys. That was pretty sweet. Good for him. But a really weird thing to have him arrested at the award show. So that's all the award show talk for this episode. Let's now get into something that is taking up way too much of my online reading time. We're talking Royal Rumble 2024. Really cool. Overall, fantastic. The men's and the women's, fantastic. Jordan Grace showing up, TNA champ. We'll talk about TNA later. Scott D'Amore, bye-bye. Really cool to see the women's champ show up in the women's Rumble. Much like last year, Mickie James showed up as TNA champ, which was less unexpected because she is WWE alumni, but really cool. It was a lot of, NXT boys and girls showing up in both the men's and the women's. Everyone was looking really good. It was really, really cool to see. There was no real celebrity or old school wrestler appearance. That's one of the things, like, to me, Royal Rumble's like the fun pay-per-view. I know WrestleMania is the serious one, but Rumble's the fun one. There was Pat McAfee had like a couple seconds in, and that was, silly. But to me, the best moment was R-Truth. He was thinking for some reason it was a tag match and waiting on the apron to tag in Dom. And then Dominic starts getting choked out by Gunther. So then Dom does actually go for the tag and R-Truth jumps in there. It was hilarious. That to me was the fun. And, the highlight notwithstanding the Cody stuff, which we'll talk about the Cody stuff in a second. CM Punk hurts his arm. Tears his tricep. That stinks. Roughly 9 months last time, he took a DDT and then hung out on the apron for a few minutes while he figured out what the heck he was going to do with himself. CM Punk now 3 injuries in 16 matches over the last 18 months. 2 of them have needed major surgery. I like CM Punk. I'm a big CM Punk fan. I really hope he has a fantastic WWE run to kind of solidify his massive legacy. In addition to what he's already done, let's not take anything away. I also like to apologize for all the sniffling. I am definitely very congested right now and struggling with my nose. We definitely, unfortunately, have to address the press conference with the Vince questions right after last episode. A lot of sexual assault allegations came to light, and I believe there's a civil suit currently entering, potentially going to courts or not. Triple H had a really poor response, said he didn't read the report. He said, yeah, it's bad, but I want to choose on the positives. We had record-setting attendance. We signed this great Netflix deal. We made a lot of money. It didn't come across the best, as opposed to Cody Rhodes, again, who had just won the men's Royal Rumble. Congratulations. # we want Cody. Yes, it's a dark cloud over us. We found out when you found out. Moving forward, I don't think this would be an issue. The group is so tight. We're working together. We're like a family. Triple H's PR team failed him. Everyone knew the questions would get asked, and they didn't have him really prepped, I don't think, the way that it should have been. It's very unfortunate. Now, unfortunately, we move past these horrible things into real life horrible things, just so we're clear, into WWE horrible things. Different scales, I acknowledge. Somehow now, Cody wins in the Royal Rumble, yelling at Roman Reigns. All dramatic, the show ends. Fantastic. The Rock shows up for some reason and says, you know what? I'm actually going to challenge Roman Reigns for the title at the Royal Rumble. That's cool, except now it's ruined 3 matches, okay? Everyone wanted to see Rock and Roman because they've been tweeting at each other for the past 4 or 5 years. This delays Cody and Roman even more because Cody definitely needs to beat him. He lost last year, comes back, a whole year keeps the momentum, which is nearly impossible, never happens. And now, so it ruins that, and then it ruins Seth's title defense, which basically makes that one feel like a consolation prize. Because Cody's like, all right, now I'll just challenge Seth, which he's doing his best. He's a pro. But it just seems really not enough, to be honest with you. There is still Damian Priest. He has the Money in the Bank challenge, so there could be some shenanigans there to kind of save it. At first, I was really hoping that there's no way WWE could be this tone deaf to just try and ruin this, but I don't know. It's not. This is not the way to do this. Like, to me, this is it. There wasn't this much online outrage when Rock muscled Punk out of his WrestleMania main event in WrestleMania 29. So this is WrestleMania 40 to 29. Pretty wild. Rock has done it again. This is like borderline finger poke of doom, which basically helped kill WCW. So there were 2 clips of this Rock promo on their WWE YouTube channel, which again, like, we know we love talking YouTube and stuff here. They've become the most 2 downvoted videos in their entire YouTube channel, which is fantastic. WrestleMania is also in Philly, and the last time Rock probably got booed ever was in Philly at WrestleMania, at Royal Rumble 2015, which I talk about probably way too much. The Daniel Bryan Rumble that he should have won, and then Rock comes out to help Roman win, and they're just getting booed, and Rock does not get it. Logan Paul, and you can feel however you want to feel about him. I think he's way too good of a wrestler, considering all of his past. He fully tweets out, they used to have Logan and Rock used to have a relationship, and then after the Suicide Forest video, Rock publicly cut ties with him. He pub tweeted against this move right away. Ricochet had a bunch of the issue is, at first I thought, like, wow, how can Logan do this? But obviously Logan's got more money outside of wrestling than he does in. There's a lot of jokes of like, what do you do when the worst person makes a good point? Anthony Mackie's like, oh, he's out of line, but he's right. People are posting Shaq's, I owe you an apology. I really wasn't familiar with your game. It's just pretty wild. So there was a house show the next night, I think February 3rd. Rock was getting booed there. At the NXT shows, they were showing posters for WrestleMania with The Rock on it. That was getting booed. The one thing that I instantly popped into my head, and I haven't heard anyone talk about, is this going to mess up Okada's chance of signing with the WWE? We talked about Okada last week to last episode. I really want him to go to WWE. I think it's a lot more interesting if he does, as opposed to AEW. But it's just, I don't know. What if he's going to see this and be like, whoa, what if I build myself up for a year or 2 years and then someone just wants to show up and take the main event? I think it looks really, really bad because everyone wanted to see Rock versus Roman, and now it's like stealing the match away. And they don't even need the belt. They can do it after. They could do this at Summer. They could do it in the SummerSlam, and that which happens in the summer. I know. I remember the pay-per-views. Come on. So yeah, and this is not. We mentioned the Daniel Bryan thing. This is not just like 4 to 6 months of building up. This has been Cody's whole thing since he's come back. Is challenging and losing and challenging again. And it's just, I'm really hoping that it somehow pivots, it turns to a triple threat. I hope the Rock leans into it and actually just becomes the bad guy. That would probably be the best thing for all of this, where he just like owns the booze and eats it up and goes full on heel Rock. Because let's be honest, the Rock got popular first because he was so hated. And then people loved how good he was. Like, he'd make comments about people and he'd get booed. But then people really appreciated how he was making those comments and became this massive, massive fan favorite. So I think maybe The Rock can do that. You have a very short window of time to do that. And I don't think Rock's going to show up enough to be able to do that. But because, he's going to be back in Hollywood and probably the second WrestleMania is done, right? And then we have the issue of Seth Rollins probably needs time off for his knee. It seems like his knees hurt, but he'll make it to Mania. He's a tank. He's going to make it through. Roman Reigns is going to take his traditional 2 months off that he does after anything. And then you got Cody. So Cody has to have the title to carry the company. And I think that's going to be it for WWE. That was a lot of WWE talk, but this was a lot of my online time. There's a lot of cool gaming stuff we talked about too. Let's be perfectly honest, but there's a lot of wrestling stuff going on this week. Just a lot of silly drama, which can be, like I've said, pro wrestling is soap opera for boys. Oftentimes, that's how I see it. And you know what? We're gonna end it right there. I'm really excited for phase 2 of Season of Discovery. I hope everyone out there is being good, staying safe, being good to each other, staying safe. Let me know what you're doing for your gaming, other dad gaming suggestions in terms, especially for the mobile. I kept going with the Monster Hunter mobile. It's definitely still fun, but it is what it is. It's very Monster Hunter light. Waiting for that 2025 real game. All right, we're gonna end it. That's enough. Wild Growth server if you want to find me online right now. Stay safe, be good to each other, and we will all talk very soon. Bye bye.